Awesome. So now what we want to do is we want to do a little bit of a deep dive into the NFT part of it. So if we want to head over to OpenSea, and let me share my screen with you again. So here we are on OpenSea, and the best way to organize OpenSea is just to go to stats and go to rankings, okay? And this is going to give us a list of the top NFTs over a specific period of time. In this case, it's 7 days, and we can change it 7 days, all time, 30 days, etc. And what we want to do is we want to see if there's any theme to the top 10, the top 20, and so on. And then we could see what areas of this NFT space the most amount of market, most amount of investment is going into. And that'll let us identify other future projects that share those qualities. So now if we go over the last, let's say 30 days, Clone X has done phenomenally well. Now Clone X is an NFT for the Metaverse that symbolizes an avatar or a character. So again, it goes right along with our thesis. And here it is, number one. It kind of validates that to a large degree. Number two is Mutant Ape Yacht Club. Okay, now this is connected with the Bored Ape Yacht Club community. It's the same community that created it. And now what you're seeing is the power of community. Now, imagine if you were part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club community, you would have had first dibs on getting one of the mutant apes, and you would have gotten them way cheaper, right? And so that's the power. This is why people spend 65 ETH. Because later on you can come in and you can get this for 1 or 2 ETH or less, or you can make like $40,000, $50,000 on it, and you have that opportunity. So CryptoPunks, historic project, okay, and you could see that there's no floor price because people aren't selling them, and about 3,000 people own the entire collection and they're not selling. So it shows you what the power of a strong community does. Doodles, this is a cool one. It's like a Clone X, it's a mini vial, very cool project. And then of course NeoTokyo identities. And now NeoTokyo has a number of different ones within OpenSea. They have the outer identities, they have the items, land, etc. So they have a lot of things. And when you combine it all together, I would say it's a top 5 project when you combine all the different elements of NeoTokyo combined. So now that we've identified a bunch of the top ones, we kind of see a pattern, right? One is with identity with Clone X, Mutant, Ape, Crypto. These are community, very focused on community. This is again associated with Clone X. Adidas, it's something that you would wear within the Metaverse. NeoTokyo, community, okay? And now what do these communities focus on? They focus on whatever the goal of that community is. It might be finding the next greatest NFTs. It might be finding Metaverse and gaming crypto projects to invest in. It might be looking for, music artists. Okay, like for example, art blocks. It's mostly a artistic project. So you get the idea. Now you come down the list a little bit. You have something like Decentraland, which is a Metaverse, and you're buying digital land. Okay, and here I want to show you a cool relationship. Same thing with NFT worlds. This is a digital land that you're buying that you could build your own projects on. And that is that usually there's a pretty good relationship between volume, price, okay, number of owners, and the number of items. So these are all really important relationships. And this is how we want to think of it, okay? First is the total numbers of a project are going to give us an idea of how much volume could really be had. Because like if you have, let's say a project that has 103,000 items, it's a lot easier to sell and to have a large volume than if you have, like 700 items, okay? You would need a lot of people to buy this at a really high price, 10 ETH, in order for you to like approach a high number. Whereas if there's a high number of items and a lower price, it's easier to hit that volume. Now the volume signifies a couple of things. One is that there's an active market of people willing to buy and sell this item. So volume's important. The floor price is the cheapest one within that set. That's usually a good place to start when it comes to buying something. That you're buying the cheapest one already. The number of owners and items is an interesting relationship because it signifies one of two things. One is it shows you how many different people own a certain project. And if a project's really valuable, what's going to happen is that it's going to push the price up, and it's going to drive people that own multiple versions of it to sell some of them. Okay, unless you hit something like CryptoPunks where you have 3,300 owners that own the 10,000 items. Like, some of these guys will never sell them because they're like historically great. It's a historically significant project. So they might just diamond hand it for a very long time, but that's kind of like more of an exception, right? For some of the other ones, like this is a good project, and you could see how close these two numbers are. 4,000 owners, 4,500 items. Like, it's very few people that own multiple. And what that means is that if the price reaches a certain point, up or down, you're not going to have an inflood of, items. Well, if the price drops, you're not going to have someone that's paper handing and that needs to sell it because they're in a bad situation. Or if the price reaches high, you're not going to have, selling pressure. So those are the things that you want to look at. Now, once you've identified a couple of projects that are interesting to you, you can come in here and then you can look at their history and you can learn more about them. So one of the things I like to do is go to volume traded, and then I'll just look at all time. And this is going to give me an idea of the highs and the lows of it. And then basically what is a good entry price. So right now we're kind of entering the low of it. And typically what projects do is in the beginning, they'll start out cheap, they'll hit a high, then they'll fall back down. So that's typically what happens. And so if you're not in the initial mint and you don't get one really cheap, you could wait until it hits the public sale on OpenSea, where it pops off and then it comes back down after the excitement has worn off. And those are usually good buying opportunities. So the other thing you want to look at here is you want to look at the quality of the project. So how are we going to do that? We're going to look at the three most important things of any project. One is, who are they helping? What is the community about? The second is, who is the team that's creating the project? Okay. And the third is, how good is the project on its own? So when we look at this project, I mean, clearly these things look pretty cool, right? I mean, like, without question, this is high quality work. Okay. And these are like little avatars that you can take to different parts, to different metaverses. So the second thing that we have here, we'll go to their website real quick. The second thing that we have here is we have a really good story. Okay. And they just partnered up with Nike and Converse and everything. How nice. Okay. So here's their Clone X. I mean, already you can see how cool it is. 2,000 avatars, very, very, very well done. Very high quality, right? You could play with their map. You can buy objects for these avatars, and they fit the narrative and the theme that we've been looking at. I mean, so this is kind of very much, they're going to have a wearable marketplace. Like, this has room to run, really, really high end potential. So now what we want to do is we want to validate as much as possible. Now let's look at their Discord. The reason why we're looking at the Discord, we want to see how large their community is and how active it is. Okay, so right now they have 143,000 members and 23,000 are online right now. So that's a pretty good percentage. You have 23,000 people actively talking about it, and let's remember there's 18,000 items. So looking at them at 18,000 items, 23,000 people talking about it. So when we come into the community, what we want to make sure is that it's an active community, that people are excited about it. We want to feel what the people inside the community feel, and we want to understand why. Why are they excited? Okay. So typically this is, let me complete this. Okay, so here we are inside of their Discord. So now when we're in someone's Discord like this, within a community, what we want to find out is like, how people are feeling about it, what the sentiment is, how often are people chatting with each other, how active is it, what are they chatting about, what's their goal, why did they get so excited about this project, okay? And so this is what we're going to do. And you could spend a little bit of time doing this. I'm not going to go over it now, but you know basically what to look for. So here's the CloneX chat. You can see how often people are talking. And then they're also you're going to get insights on what's coming next for this project, what their roadmap is, okay? You're going to have all their official links. And one thing you want to make sure is like, if all of a sudden you're getting some strange DMs, just, it's probably a scammer, okay? No one is going to like come out of their way to come give you something for free if you give them your seed phrase. It's not going to happen. So always beware of scams. But so that's one thing that we already did. So we looked at how big their community is. We looked at how active it was. It passed those two things. The art looked fantastic. We can go to Twitter. I bet you it's probably very active and well done. So 240,000 followers, high engagement rates. I mean, this is exactly what you're looking for. Now, this is like a project that has real high-end potential. And you're pretty close to the floor right now, right? So we're looking at the floor price of 5.74 ETH. That's like 25K. And you can dress these guys up, etc. And so I created a spreadsheet that breaks everything down, right? You want to look at a project. You want to look at the floor price, the volume, the size of the collection, the yield. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The ROI, the engagement. The next to the engagement, have the engagement rate, what the community size is on Discord, other socials if they apply, okay? And then we want to really come down and give them a grade. Like, how would you grade their community? How would you grade their product quality? How would you grade their team quality? So far from what I've seen from CloneX, I would give them A's across the board, okay? The quality, the team is obviously phenomenal. The product's phenomenal. That would, and so my price target for it, now let's determine, how do we determine what we think the potential of this is? And we're going to come back up here and we're saying 18,000 items, 7,000 owners. So right now you're kind of seeing some of those owners selling, which is why the price hasn't moved up a lot, okay? So you've seen it's gone up to 10 ETH 3 times, and it hasn't been able to break 10 ETH. And so now we're seeing a little bit of a dip. I would say that, based on everything we've seen here, this thing can go up quite a bit. So let's compare it to other projects that have similar amount of items. Okay, this is at 14 ETH. Okay, there's no reason why I can't reach 14 ETH. So like, in other words, a 3x from here. And I think it's a very solid project. So I went ahead and I looked at a few other projects. Okay, so let's talk about NeoTokyo. It's one of the projects that I invested in. And the things that I love about it, first, it helps me figure out what the best projects are in gaming and crypto in the metaverse space, okay, which is the area that I'm focusing in on. So that's the first thing it does, is it's a community that helps me filter and get whitelisted on new projects. That's part one. The other thing that I really like about it is that it's a smaller collection size. It's high value. So all the people that are in it are very high end. They're like VCs, investors, heads and CEOs of gaming studios, and so on. So you have an elite sort of group of people that are in it. I would almost call it like a Harvard or something like that. Like you get those sort of contacts. So that to me is tremendously valuable. And then the other thing that I love about it is that when you have an identity, when you have a citizen, you earn 1 to 2 bytes a day, which is about $200 a day. Okay, and the ROI on this is about 44%. So I look at it from the point of view of like buying a real estate property. If I were to spend, let's say, $150,000 on a rental property, let's say I was buying a house or an apartment, there's no way that I would be making $75,000, $80,000 a year from rental income after expenses. There's absolutely no way. And so that's how I look at some of these projects. The ones that I would consider blue chip, okay, with really high prices. I would consider them almost like you're buying an investment akin to a real estate that has high yield, which is not going to happen in real estate. You're not going to get 17% or 170% or anything like that. And then for their team, I would give them an A plus across the board for NeoTokyo. When you look at the quality of what they've created, the thought they put behind it, and how they launched their entire collection, and how they added value at each step of the way with each item that they dropped. Okay, and then how they tied the whole thing together. So, and this is how they did it. First, they gave people an identity that they could earn. People that had an identity then were able to get a vault, a land, items, and they got these things that they were able to mint because they had the ID, the identity. In some cases, they didn't have to spend anything at all. Okay, some people just earned it. So if you sold all these things, then someone else went and bought them, and you kind of missed out on the big play, which was to combine all of them and create a citizen. Then the citizens earned bytes. And so it kind of becomes a no-brainer. And then there's this whole huge opportunity because the community is creating things of value. And let me show you what I mean. So this is NeoTokyo Tools. It's one of the projects created by the community for the community. It gives you a dashboard of the collection, the identity floor, vault floor, item cache, land floor. So you can get the whole thing for $163,000, and it'll make you $75K a year. It's like, it's, at some level, it's a no-brainer. Here's a citizen that yields 4 bytes a day. And naturally, this is going to be, it's not twice the price, but there's a little bit of a discount on it to some degree here. So now this is going to make you $400 a day. And the thing about this is that you might look at it and say, well, there's no way I'm going to spend $163,000, and that's fair. There's other ways you can get involved with projects like this, okay? Just because you can't get in on the front end doesn't mean you can't get in. One way is to just invest in the bytes. They're at $100, and they're going to be really, really valuable within the game. Now, the other thing this community is doing is that they have on one end the citizens, which are kind of like the investor class, and on the other hand, they have the people that play the games. Okay, the testers, to make sure that the games that we're looking at are good. And so you have these two things that are very, 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 very powerful. And then we interacted with other game developers, and so they would come to us, and then we could provide them a number of services. You need testers, you need investors, you need promoters. Like, you have an array of value that you could provide to the community at large. And that's probably the best way to think about it. So I would give this A pluses across the board. Now, I'll quickly go over a few other projects just so you get an idea. Bear X Labs is a kind of a cool little project. These things are pretty inexpensive right now. They're 0.18 ETH, and they earn you income. So let's look at what they earn. 10 roots a day. And what are roots going for right now? Roots are going for 51 cents, right? So this thing is going to earn you roughly, it's $5 a day, okay? So over the course of the year, you're going to get about 175% return on investment. Now, this one I think is a little bit more risky because, like, I'm looking at their engagement rate on social media. On Twitter, it's like 1/5 of 1%. Their engagement rate with their community is kind of a little bit lower. Okay, so that's why I'm a little, I think it's definitely worth spending the $700-800. Here's like one of the cheaper bears, 32. It's like $1,100, and then you're going to make your money back, and that's where it's de-risked, since you're getting that ROI, that those tokens on a daily basis. So that gives you an idea of that project. Another really cool one is Enigma. What this project is about is you're basically buying a miner, and it's a real world miner that mines Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies, and it signifies and symbolizes this through an NFT. And so once you own one of these NFTs, as the company mines for Bitcoin and Ethereum, your miner that you stake earns you your portion of what's being mined. So that, again, very cool project, 0.3 ETH. So it's not too expensive. It's about $1,000. And then these things earn you about 0.5 ETH a year. Okay. So, and the math is that you're, spending 1,000, and over the course of the year, you're going to get back whatever 0.5 ETH is. overall. So it might be 3,700. So the ROI on that is pretty good. Okay. Another one that is kind of cool is Noia Ducks. Now this project is kind of very interesting. First of all, it's on Solana. And what you'll notice is that on Solana, obviously you have the prices in Solana, and the Solana is like $150 roughly right now. So you get an idea of this is a little over 1,000. And what this project has done is that it gives back the community. So if you hold this project, it gives back the community a really large portion of the sales, okay, and of the royalties. So when you typically buy or sell a project, there's going to be a royalty. And in this case, the royalties go back to the community. And then same thing with the initial sales. And I forget what the numbers were, but I think it was like 50% and then 100% on the other. And so that's kind of cool. The positive side is that every time one of these gets sold, you make money. The downside is that maybe everyone will, like you, hold on to it. So that's something to think about. Another one that I think has really interesting potential, and I'll just go over some of these real quick. Magic Den, they're like for Solana. Monkey Ball, this was kind of coming on our radar. Okay, let's go through a few of these real quick. D-Racer. So we talked about D-Racer on the currency side. And usually you could play these things both ways. You can get an NFT or you can get their currency. Whichever, and I think you should do whichever one you think makes most sense for you. These are horses that you could buy and you could breed them, you could race them, and then you could earn crypto. So their cryptocurrency has gone up quite a bit. So that's been a good one. Wolf Game is a really, really cool game. What it does is it has sheeps and wolves, and you can get one of these guys, and now they have in-game items, but you can decide to be a sheep or a wolf and then earn rewards based on your decision. So here's the wolf game again. NFT Worlds. Now this one has been going up. It's been going up quite a bit. Look at the price on this. You could have got these really cheap, like not so long ago. Basically, there's little plots of land that you could buy and build anything you want on them. And that it's like your own little metaverse world. They're like little plots like this. Sin City Genesis. This one is coming, okay? This is a game, and these are the NFT collections that are associated with it. And this is, I think, going to be a really big game. Just looking at how large their Discord is and their Twitter, they have a lot of potential. They have a lot going on. Meta Legends. Now, these ones are kind of pretty affordable. 12,000 items, 5,000 owners, low on this price. And then they're like little avatars for your profile pic. Okay. Psychedelic Anonymous. So I like this project quite a bit. It's caught my eye, and I wish I looked into it earlier, because it's gone up. It's like doubled or tripled since I first looked at it, literally like a week ago. So I'm hoping that it comes down in price a little bit. But let's look at it. 7,000 owners, almost 7,500 items. And this is their Genesis collection. Okay. And this is the cool thing about what they're doing, is that they're supporting psychedelic research through this collection. And it seems like they're going to be creating a game for the metaverse. They're going to have a number of items. I'm imagining in the future you might be able to do some sort of combination with these items, and who knows what they're going to do with that. And it has a really engaged community, which is the part I like about it. And the other thing that's really cool is their team. So here's a quick idea of how to evaluate their team. You come to the website, you look at who the people are that are involved, and then you just research them. It's really that simple. And right away, I can tell you that, like, the founder, he's at the Bay Area Yacht Club. So he's going to have relationships with all the top people in the crypto NFT space, which is the value of this community. So there you have it. I think you have a really good top-down view on how to find projects. Okay, you wanna start with looking at the market as a whole, finding those areas that are not at the top but are coming up, okay? And then focusing in on those categories. In this example, we used Metaverse, NFTs, gaming. And then what you want to do is you want to find the right people to follow on Twitter, the right Discords and the right communities to join, okay? And then once you've done all of that, you're going to start coming across projects, and you're going to be researching projects. You're going to be looking actively for your own projects. And what you want to do is you want to create a list of your top 20 or 30 projects that you're the most excited about, okay? And then don't worry whether you could really invest in them directly. So for example, like you might be really excited about NeoTokyo, but 46 ETH might just be not in the cards, okay? Well, what you can do instead is just buy their bytes. You can just buy their cryptocurrency. Now you have exposure to this project without having to buy one of their NFTs. The other thing you can do is you can look for their cheaper NFTs or the new things they're going to be creating in the future, because as we've noticed, these projects don't just stop at creating one, okay? They're going to create multiples. So just by being within the project, like on the outer reaches of it, you could still see what's going on enough, know their members enough, and then when the opportunity arises to be able to jump in and take advantage. Great. So now you have the idea of how this all comes together. And it's really, really more or less simple. What we want to do is first, we want to get a lay of the land, get that 30,000 foot view of the entire market. Then we want to jump into these categories and see which ones have the most opportunity. And then we want to find those niches and just drill down. We want to find the best projects within that niche. And the best way to do it is to find who are the influencers, the top communities, the top people to find on Twitter, Discord, etc. And then to start interacting and following those people, engaging in those communities. And that's going to be one way that you verify projects. The other way is just by doing your own research. And we just went over how to do that. I hope that gives you a really good overview. And I'm going to make this spreadsheet available for you. Have a great rest of your day.